Alrighty, so I'm Beck Lane. This is Catalyst and Company. Catalyst and Company, where we're catalysts in each other's lives as well as our own. And we continue to work at being the artists we've always wanted to be. And I've been talking about the 55 Frida project that I've been working on for a while. Um, it's developing 55 portraits of Frida Kahlo because Frida developed, she did 55 self-portraits in her lifetime. So we're doing 55 portraits of her. And as I've tried to express, as I have tried to express, it's not about looking like Frida Kahlo. It's not just doing the image of Frida Kahlo and following the tropes, the Frida tropes of, you know, flowers in the hair, big bright colors, flowers everywhere, mustache, all done. It's not that. It is really finding her true spirit and finding that connection that draws people to her, to her, to her heart, to her spirit, to her life, and not just her artwork. So that's what I'm working on. Behind me, I have, that said, I have two portraits going on behind me, obviously two different stages in her life. She's probably about 12 years old in this one. I don't really remember when the reference material was taken. The reference material for it, though, the photograph is a little blurry, it's a little dark, it's hard to see. But after painting, now I'm on, what, 24 portraits of our Frida, I have a pretty good idea of the placement of the features of her face. But in this one, I just made a conscious decision to follow a more primitive or folk arty path, follow her lead for folk art and her interest in folk art. So what we're seeing is like basic shapes, basic colors, although as we see in this one and in all my work, it's always basic shapes, basic colors. But in this one, I'm kind of accentuating it so that it does feel, I want to say more intentional, that every brushstroke in my paintings are intentional. I don't know, just that it feels a little bit more handcrafted, like a clay doll, one of the icons that she collected. Diego Rivera had something like 5,000 pieces of folk art or Mexican art, but we're not paying attention to him, we're paying attention to our Frida. Frida had developed her own collection, and it is said because of Diego Rivera, she started to see her Mexican roots. Her father was German, but her own Mexican roots and South American roots, and really digging her heels in South American art. So she had her own collection of icons and iconography and artisan work, like tin frames and metal frames and silver frames made by people all over Mexico, including Tasco, where I've been. But anywho, that's the line we're following. There's actually a very famous photograph of her, and it's in color, and she's holding up this little green figure. I don't remember the figure's name. I barely remember anything, but don't rely on me for actual information. But she's holding up this little green figurine. And in one lecture I listened to, they expected it to be about 2,000 years old, a copy of a figure that was 2,000 years old, but nobody's really sure. And some of her collection disappeared over time. Anywho, that's what I'm referencing, are the clay figures, the clay figurines, and the things that she picked up from folk artists around her. So that's what I'm referencing here, as well as her sometimes want to do folk art. Like the first painting she sold was of, two native women, native to Mexico women. I don't know what that means, but that's what I've heard lecturers talk about. There are two women. They're somewhat side by side with their faces slightly turned, and it was the first painting she ever sold. So I'm referencing that in technique, non-color but in technique. I have other things that I'm doing where I'm referencing different painting, not explicitly. Sometimes it's very subtle, but I'm doing it anyway. And I'm also working on this one. I've got to get this stuff moving along because Sunday I have to do live painting at Lexow Gallery where we have the show. However, everything has to be picked up. I think it's Friday. Everything that's going to Lexow Gallery for Sunday has to be picked up Friday. So I got to get my ass in gear, which I've been kind of sitting on a lot lately. Anywho, she's wearing a traditional Mexican wrap. Don't remember the name for it. Her jewelry. And while I'm painting these portraits, I'm realizing she's wearing the same jewelry sometimes over and over and over and over again. And a friend told me this morning, oh, she used to make some of her own jewelry too. So I'm learning about that. I'm really enjoying the depth of this woman. Just it's endless layers that I'm learning about. It's just, she was far more extraordinary than I understood in the 70s when I was growing up and I first heard about Frida Kahlo. In the 70s, the women's movement, people in the women's movement grabbed Frida Kahlo. Women were looking for their own icons. They were looking for their own people to look up to, people that didn't live traditional lives. We were looking for women who said, you don't have to be that, you can be other things. You don't have to be the way you are told you have to be. You can be other things. So in the 70s, women they latched on to Frida Kahlo, and that's how she started to become popular. Before that, she kind of faded a bit. But the women of the 70s made her popular. However, being this little Cape Codder with only one library nearby, and they didn't have much on anything about art. The little Dennisport library, I can still smell it. Anywho, I can still smell the books inside. Anywho, I didn't have access to a lot of information. And when I would hear Frida Kahlo or see anything about her, I'd be like, ugh. I took on the attitude of men in the 70s, the traditional attitude in the 70s of ugh. And now I'm just so thrilled that I've decided to do this project, and I get to learn so much about a woman who just inspired, I hate to use that word because it's overused, but inspired women and people everywhere to be themselves, and to not sit in a box, and don't let anyone tell you that you are nothing. I've talked to, I don't know how many people since I started this project who feel like they don't have a connection to Frida, that they're not strong enough to understand Frida or to take on the characteristics of Frida. And as I said to a friend this morning, you are Frida. We all have the Frida spirit. It's just sometimes it's taken a nap. Frida wasn't always Frida Kahlo. Frida was suicidal at times. She was in extraordinary pain, mental and emotionally. She had a very, very difficult life. So she wasn't always at the level that we have mythologized her to be. She was a human being, but she wasn't afraid of being a human being. She wasn't afraid of being vulnerable, another overused word, but she wasn't afraid of being sad, showing people she was sad. She wasn't afraid of people seeing her frustrated. One of her big middle finger to the world, was holding a cigarette. If you look through photographs, and I love her, I can't wait to paint more of these. If you look at photographs of her, she's holding a cigarette in her fingers, she's smoking. And she loved to smoke, hello. She loved to smoke, but which I think, from what I understand, the thing she loved best about smoking was how offended people would get when she was holding a cigarette in her hands or smoking. She loved it. It was just a constant and the look on her face, just like, I dare ya. I dare you. I love it. I'm so glad to have this opportunity. Now, following all of that I've just said, and not falling in line and fighting back and giving people the finger and, doing things your own way. I realized this morning I wore this shirt, this Project Pride shirt. My sister had gotten me to volunteer for an organization here in town called Project Pride, and they held this fantastic gala. It really was a gala. It was unbelievably beautiful and fun, and I danced until I couldn't feel my legs anymore. But here's the thing. I live in Florida, and unless you live in Florida, it's hard to understand what a shit show it is, because you read the news and then you move on. I know people that are scared to live here. There are people leaving Florida because of Ron DeSantis and the nutbags, the Mothers for Freedom, or whatever their stupid ass name is, that is meaningless. You never know here. You never know. So I'm not afraid, and I don't care. I really don't care what people have to say, what they think. I don't care on any level. And like Frida, I love giving people the finger. But here's the thing. I've only got one shirt. I only have one pride shirt or rainbow shirt or LGBTQ shirt. So I just wanted to come on and ask, if you happen to have any rainbow LGBTQ pride shirts that you're not wearing anymore, or you don't want, or you wouldn't mind sharing, would you contact me? I would love to have them, and I would love to wear them on camera as we gain traction and we're rebuilding this brand that's Little Me. I would love to have the opportunity to just to give Florida and Ron DeSantis and idiots the finger. I honestly am not scared. I've had so many things happen in my life that some yahoo named Bubba, who's angry and carrying a gun, doesn't even faze me. Those people quite literally send me into a giddy tizzy where I'm almost doing this and skipping around in front of them. So please, if you happen to have any pride shirts, any rainbow colored shirts, if you have anything in that direction, there isn't a lot around here, but if you'd like to share it and I'll wear it on camera and I can send it back to you, or keep it and just keep wearing it, I want to do that. Really. I want to do that for Frida. I want to do that for our Frida. As we know, she was also part of the LGBTQ community. So let's celebrate Frida. It is, by the way, July, which is her birthday month. Her birthday was the 6th, and then I think she passed away on the 9th. I probably have that wrong. I usually have stuff wrong. But she was both born and passed away in the month of July. So let's celebrate Frida with your help on camera. All right? Thanks. I really appreciate it. You can DM me. You can whatever. Beck Lane 42, becklane42@gmail.com, and just let me know if this is a possibility. Okay, I'm going to get back to this because I got so much work to do. And I'm procrastinating. All right, I'm Beck Lane. This is Catalyst & Company. If you'd like to help support Catalyst & Company, all the links are down below, including the links to my galleries or the information in my galleries, links to TeePublic, where you can buy images of some of the Fridas right now. We're going to be increasing those. You can buy them on t-shirts, tote bags, coffee mugs. Patreon, where you can supply monthly support for as little as $5 a month, and we have sets of Frida cups, Frida coffee mugs available, and some t-shirts, I think. Anywho, Patreon, t-shirts, Patreon, oh, Cash App, PayPal, blah, blah, blah. It's all down below. Anyway, here we go. Hey, and I've been thinking about somebody. Wesley, I'm still using your paint. I gotta show you, buddy. I am still using the paint that you sent me. Look at it. It's right there. I'm still going through all the tubes. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. This is an absolute mess, but look at, every time I paint a bead, it is with this brown that you sent me, this Indian red. But I've been using this green a lot too. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Wesley, I hope you're well and I miss you. All right, romper room time is over. Ready, Carrie? Meow, ciao. Meow, meow, meow. Rainbow t-shirts.